The First Crusade, which took place from 1096 to 1099, began due to a unique cultural, economic, and religious situation in medieval Europe. This war is recognized as a massive effort to recover the Holy Lands from Muslim control by Western Christians. The First Crusade, 1096 to 1099. Background of the war. In 1095, Pope Urban II gave a famous speech at the Council of Clermont and called on Western Christians to defend Eastern Christians who were being threatened by the Seljuks. He also promised that anyone who died on this path towards the holiest lands of Christianity would have their sins forgiven. People's Crusade. The first phase of the First Crusade, known as the People's Crusade, began. Disorganized and unstructured groups led by Peter the Hermit and others moved to the Middle East to support the crusade. These groups suffered heavy defeats against the Seljuk forces in Asia Minor, present-day Turkey. Prince's Crusade. The second and more successful phase of the First Crusade, known as the Prince's Crusade, began. This group consisted of organized European forces that faced numerous challenges on their way to Jerusalem, including disease, hunger, and Muslim attacks. Siege of Nicaea. In May 1097, the Crusader forces arrived at the city of Nicaea, which was under Seljuk control. The Crusaders besieged the city, and after a month, the Seljuks surrendered the city to the Byzantine Empire, which upset the Crusaders. Battle of Dorylaeum and Siege of Antioch. After Nicaea, the Crusaders were victorious against the Seljuks at the Battle of Dorylaeum in October 1097 and advanced to Antioch. The Siege of Antioch was long and hard, and in June 1098, the Crusaders conquered the city. Siege of Jerusalem. After the conquest of Antioch, the Crusaders continued their journey towards Jerusalem. In July 1099, after a brief siege, Jerusalem fell to the Crusaders. After capturing the city, the Crusaders massacred its Muslim and Jewish inhabitants. Consequences. The conquest of Jerusalem led to the creation of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, one of the four Crusader states that emerged during the Crusades. The First Crusade not only changed relations between Europe and the Middle East but also transformed medieval Europe. This war opened Europe to new markets, increased trade, and had a profound impact on European culture and art. On the other hand, the First Crusade led to increased religious fanaticism and tension between Christians and Muslims. The Second Crusade, which was held from 1147 to 1149, was planned in response to the capture of Antioch by Zengi, the Atabeg of Mosul, in 1144 and Pope Eugenius III's call for a new crusade to return Antioch to Christian hands. Declaration and presence of the kings. Pope Eugenius III issued a letter called Quantum Predecessors in which he called Christians to participate in a new crusade. The main forces of this war included Louis VII, King of France, and Conrad III, Holy Roman Emperor. This time, unlike the First Crusade, several European kings participated. Path to the Middle East. Both of these leaders led their forces from Europe to the Middle East, but their routes, experiences, and successes varied. Conrad III moved along the route through Turkey, but his forces were defeated in the Battle of Dorylaeum by the Seljuk Turks. Louis VII came along the coastal route, but his forces were significantly reduced due to bad weather and Turkish attacks. Siege of Damascus. Eventually, the Crusaders decided to besiege Damascus, as they believed this city was a threat to the Crusader states. However, due to discoordination and disagreements among the Crusader leaders, the siege quickly failed, and the Crusaders were forced to retreat. Crusade in Europe. During this war, another crusade called the Wendish Crusade was held in northern Europe, in which Christians sought to recover lands lost to the Muslims and Vikings in the Baltic. End and impacts of the Second Crusade. The Second Crusade ended in failure. This failure resulted in a decline of trust in religious leadership in Europe. Historically, this failure prepared the Europeans for the Third Crusade, which took place from 1189 to 1192. Ultimately, the Second Crusade caused uncertainty and crisis in the Crusader movement due to its failure to recapture Antioch and inability to conquer Damascus.